open scene, Norman character. Which one did I do? Hold on. This one. I have tons of them. So yours is the default Norman that should be in the group share for Cap 101 assignments, or actually the group share. Open, don't save. Okay. Ignore that. Make sure you open in, well, it really doesn't matter what Maya you're opening in. I'm using 2017, whatever. Alrighty, so first of all, I know some of you have accidentally sort of assumed that you're supposed to select like parts like this, and you're trying to move them or rotate them, and it won't let you. So you're not supposed to. So what you do when you're trying to move the leg is you select this control is the right leg IK control. You can rotate it and you can move it. So remember, our rotate is E on the keyboard and W is move. So I'm using the keyboard shortcuts. Don't worry about scale. That's locked. It won't let you do it, okay? So also, if I zero out that, I could go over here to my channel box layer editor. I could just select all of these, let go, press 0 on the keyboard and enter, and it will zero out the location of that controller for the foot, which puts him back in his default position. Then we have these other controls. If we select over the word here and then middle mouse button click in the view right here, we could see the ball roll. Okay. And push Z for undo. Alright, toe roll. Alright. Toe tap. That's my favorite. Undo. Toe twist. Okay. And heel twist, which is the opposite of toe twist. Okay. Undo. Alright. So also, let's say I want to kind of move the foot out and kind of pose it like this. I could use my heel twist to rotate it. If I need to rotate it more, I could just rotate with the actual rotate tool. Now, take a look at this. That looks awkward, right? Because for whatever reason, if he's got his foot pointed that way, his knee needs to point in the direction of the foot. So if you kind of practice by paying attention to how you sit and how your knees point towards your feet, you'll know that's very unnatural. It's not possible. So I'm going to select the K, which matches the red for the right side, and I'm just going to move it over here. And that's it's called the right knee IK control. It's the inverse kinematic control for the knee. So I would probably do something a bit like this and maybe move this up. I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I'm just posing him randomly. Okay. So we would just want to, you know, if he were doing something like that, we would want to make sure the knee points towards his toe and follows the direction of his toe. And sometimes you might want to watch things like this. See how his knee is really locked off? You might want to grab this root control, which is his waist controller, and just push him down just a little bit till it bends the knee a little bit. Okay? And then we have the pelvis control here. It does not move or rotate. Or scale. The rotate does work. So if I press E on the keyboard for rotate, I can rotate below the waist, the pelvis control. Okay. So if you wanted to kind of have like a girly looking Normina instead of Norman, and these only rotate, so maybe, like I said, a girly version, you might kind of sway the back a little bit, or the spine, with the little booty sticking out a little bit. Okay. And, you know, make sure, like, you're not only using this axis, but pay attention to these others. You know, that's what sells your pose. And then, so I've got him kind of off balance there, going off to this side a little bit. So what I want to do is grab this one and kind of counter what I'm doing with that, so he's balanced a little better. She, Normina. And here, I'm going to make sure that foot is on the ground. So I'm going to select it. My translate Y, that is the up and down. So I'm going to put in 0, which is the ground. Alright, and I might need to move it in a little bit. Maybe do something like the ball roll, like that. Alright, and then don't ignore the head. See, that's just an unnatural pose. Of course, we still have the arms to work with, and that booty is definitely poking out there, so I would say it's sort of girly looking right now. Alright, so I'm going to take the neck and maybe, like, you know, sometimes check these other views. Like, I'm going to press 5 to turn on shaded in my front view. And, you know, you want to have like a balance going on here. So, right here, he's a little bit off balance, so I might could go like this. So he's, like, actually, what leg is he really balancing on here? I don't know. Let's see. Looks like he could be balancing like this, and the other one is just kind of like sticking out there. So maybe he's balancing mainly on his left leg. So I push that in a little bit, and might could go do something like this. Oops, I think I selected the wrong thing. Let me see. Yeah, I didn't really want to select that one. There we go. And then push the neck this way a little. And then maybe the head is like, uh-oh. It's weird. There we go. Okay. Now, back over in perspective view, we could turn the grid on just so you can tell where the ground is. Also, we have this other control, which you may be using. It may be more useful if you're actually animating the character, making it move. But this one, it moves all kinds of ways. I think no, it doesn't scale. But it moves and it rotates. You could move the entire character. Everything follows with it. Similar to this one, but everything above the waist follows. Okay, so the forward kinematics, which are called FK controls, this is how they work. So remember, there will be controllers that are at the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. So they move from the shoulder, from the elbow, and then the wrist. Okay? And then we have little finger controls here. I actually don't always really use those very much. It's really, if you need to really get a specific kind of pose for your fingers, I don't know, because you also have this right here, your hand controls. So you could do something like this, select all these, index, middle, ring, and pinky, middle click, drag back and forth, and it actually repositions, so it gets rid of what I just did with this. So it snaps it away. I don't know. But you could play around with that, and so these rotate. Now, I don't know really what this character is doing. I'm not really putting it in a pose. I'm just sort of playing around, showing you guys how everything works. So, there we go. And maybe I'll do, maybe these are just a little bit more like this. I know, we don't really bend our fingers like that. But is Normina really real? I don't know. Okay, so it's a little girly. Got the pinky thing going on there. And maybe I will do this. Okay. Now this arm over here, I'll select the right arm or right hand control, and I'm going to change it to IK control. It's on FK, just like this arm is posed over here using FK controls. I'm going to swap it to a FK version, which is a different way of using the controls to make the arm move. So I'm going to select this little diamond shape. So you'll notice if I zoom in here that these like little rings here, left shoulder control, elbow, and the wrist are all missing. That's because you have different ones here. You have this one. It's right wrist IK control, which I actually, for some reason, have a key set on, which it doesn't look like it has anything else on it, but I can remove that if I right-click down here, delete. Okay, got rid of it. All right, push W. This one moves around. Now this moves, this is like a puppet. That's what I like to say. It moves like a puppet, like you have strings on the wrists. This is also how the feet work, remember? So it's that the legs do not have the controls that are like this arm, the FK. They only have IK, which move like a puppet, like strings are on the wrist or the feet. So this is really like if you have a table or something, let's say there's like, this is going to represent a table. Right. That will represent a table. And the character wants to place its hand on there. Well, it's a little bit harder to do that when you're trying to work with these that rotate and try to get it there, because if you're animating, you might be moving all these other things around, like this for instance, and it moves it. So then you're like, oh, I have to move this back, and then it's really a pain. But with this, it's going to stay in the same place. So let's say he rests rests her hand on the table. Make sure that thumb isn't in there. Okay. There we go. And maybe move the table up just a little bit. There we go. Alright. So now if I were moving some other things with animation, I wouldn't have to worry about the arm moving too much. Now it moved like that because I actually had it stretched a little bit too much, so I could just adjust it a little bit. But for the most part, it's not like how this left arm works when you rotate and it totally moves. I mean, it will lock in place unless you stretch it too much. Okay, so I really hope this helped you guys, and I added the audio this time. Hope I don't sound too groggy. Alright, if you have any questions, just email me, and I'll do my best to help you out, okay?